The days are longer, the calendar is filling up, and I want to feel as good as this beautiful summer weather. That's why I've been loving Groons. It's one daily pack of gummies that covers my greens, vitamins, and minerals, and even has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. So I don't need to juggle a complicated wellness routine on top of everything else. They taste amazing. They're easy to toss in my bag on the go. Plus, they're vegan, gluten-free, and HSA, FSA eligible for reimbursement. Save up to 52% off with promo code podcast at gruns.co. That's code podcast at gruns.co.
Security threats are everywhere. But with Xfinity XFi, you're notified of threats to your in-home Wi-Fi network, so all your connected devices are protected. That's simple, easy, awesome. Go online, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit today. Restrictions apply.
Welcome back to TalkNorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com.
Good news, Jim. Eric Holla hasn't scored yet tonight.
How do you know this?
I just looked at my NHL app.
Okay, I was saying, you better check back every 5 seconds or so.
Is that the first time in 218 episodes that I said the first thing?
I think it is, actually. It took me completely by surprise.
Yes, I know.
It was
Except when I was hosting with Anthony LaPanta.
Did you start that one off?
Yeah, I did. I think so.
Anthony LaPanta let you talk?
Yeah, he did. It was nice. You know what? Anthony was almost the guy here tonight.
I know. If the Twins had played a Game 4, Anthony was going to sub for me, and that would have been cool. The
only possible way that Anthony wasn't going to be here was if the Twins got swept.
I know.
Or I guess if the Twins swept.
Yeah, that too. And thank you to Anthony for being willing. We will get him on the show here soon. I do like it. I do like having him on the network, so we'll figure something out and get him involved. And I know you and Anthony need to spend more time together during the season.
Yeah, I know, definitely.
Any good Anthony stories for me?
No, really haven't seen him that much yet.
Really?
They only did the one road game, and
that's right.
And AJ, his son, lives out in Colorado, so they spent a lot of time together. But so far, Anthony and I are getting along. Just give us a couple weeks. We're good for 2 blow-ups a year.
I did watch some of the Wild Predators game when I was in New York, like between assignments. I caught it on my hotel room. It was on some weird network. I don't know how I got it, and I watched Zucker have a couple grade A chances, not convert, and then all of a sudden it's 4-2.
NBC Sports Network's not a weird network.
I guess you're right. Well, it's not a weird network, but I hardly ever watch it unless the Wild are playing on it.
I got it.
So I never turn on that network unless I seek it out because the local team's playing on it.
Yeah.
The only local team that plays on it is the Wild.
Yeah, I got you. 0-2 start. They're just easing their way into the year. Everything will be okay, everybody.
Don't want to pull a hamstring.
But yeah, I mean, the disappointing game was the game in Colorado because they're down 2-0. Boudreau calls timeout. It kind of looks like Boudreau is just going to town on him, but actually, if you ask the players and Bruce, he really wasn't like lighting them up. It was just that arena at that point was so loud that he couldn't hear himself think, so he was just screaming, and it just gave the impression that he was going crazy, but he was just trying to chill him out and get him playing. And then they played really well the rest of the game. First 10 minutes of the third period, I think that they weren't great, but I think Colorado deserved a lot of credit there. But then the Wild started to play really well there. The final 10 minutes of the third had a ton of chances, just couldn't score. And it's just a shame because the Wild actually did, at even strength, a superb job against that McKinnon, Landeskog, Granton line that night. And then just one bad shift where, a confluence of really strange things happen on the shift. And so the Wild wind up flat-footed. You allow Colorado, their best line, to go east-west in the offensive zone, and usually that's not going to end well. And a couple players got really crossed up. And it really starts. I mean, it was the old adage that if when you have 5 guys on the ice, if one guy is not doing his job, how it could screw up absolutely everything. And really, the beginning of that shift, when Ryan Donato got back in the zone, you could just see that he got really confused on didn't make the right read, got really confused on what his responsibility was, and then there was just an absolute breakdown. You have Zuccarello that collides with Ryan Graves. Now, all of a sudden, Brodin kind of panics. He's got to play a 2-on-1 down low between Landeskog and Rantanen, which isn't easy. Spurgeon, because Donato is not doing his job, Spurgeon's got to really make a quick decision on what's the thing that he could do most to alleviate the pressure. And so he looks up and sees McKinnon, and he's like, well, I'm going to go to the most dangerous player. And then the breakdown happened is that when Brodin's playing the 2-on-1, Donato, instead of recognizing that Spurgeon was going to McKinnon, Donato doesn't go down low to Landeskog. He just wheels up north in the middle of nowhere, and just kind of all of a sudden you have Landeskog all alone down for a tap-in, and you just knew. I mean, that was going to be the game, and it really was. One bad shift at the end of the second period doomed them, but they played really hard that night. You know, they gave their old cliche that if they bring that effort every single night, they're going to get a lot of points. But the reality is that the same thing that we've seen from the Wild for many years plagued them. And in the third period, they had incredible scoring chances and just couldn't score. And the last half of the first period, they also had really good scoring chances and couldn't score. So, they're just not going to magically start. I mean, that to me is always the concern. Anytime you go into a year, it's like every single time you hear a team talk about internal improvement and wanting, this guy's got to be a 20-goal scorer and this guy's got to be a 25-goal scorer. You're just almost always going to be disappointed. And it's 2 games into the season. It's obviously really small sample size, but I just don't see, Cunnin, Eriksson, Fiala, Donato, and Greenway all of a sudden becoming just breakout stars this season. A couple of them have really disappointed me the way that they've started the season, actually.
I'll ask you who specifically is disappointed you. We should introduce the show. This is the Russo-Hockey Show. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. He's Michael Russo from The Athletic. We're live at Tin Shed in Savage. You can find their website at tinshedmn.com. And if you go there, you can find out about all their specials. Thanks to our other sponsors, Twill and the Edina Galleria, Fixologyrepair.com, Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent, and Bite Squad, bitesquad.com. To let you know about Tin Shed, they have, first of all, always have Michael Russo's picture on their website. That's very exciting. Their phone number, 952-736-2444. And they have buy one, get one free Pizza Mondays. That's any size, any toppings, all day long. Kids 12 and under eat free all day, every day. 50% off lunch deal, Monday through Friday, 11 to 1. The entire food menu is 50% off the purchase of any beverage. They have a new 2-for-1 happy hour, Monday through Friday, 2 through 6, and every day, 9 p.m. to close. They have some other specials that I'll get to a little bit later in the show. But it's been just a really nice place to hold the show. Lots of space, as you can tell. When we get huge crowds, everybody can find a seat. When it's not quite as huge a crowd, you get spread out a little bit. The regulars are always here all the time. We do appreciate both everybody who shows up to the shows and Tin Shed for hosting. Dumbos look good, right? I want to bring really up something positive early in the show, and Dumbos look good.
Yeah. I like the colors. I've never noticed it before, the colors of Brandon's soundboard. It's like black and blue. I'd wear it as a watch. So anyway... Don't you think
so it's going to be a random kind of show. That's okay. I'll just stand back and just see what you... Does anybody have anything sparkly or maybe a set of keys they can hold up to distract Michael?
Yeah. Dumba's playing well, and that is a good sign. And you just hope that the forwards catch up to the D. We've talked about this before for years, and even Dumba after the game the other night said, look, it's the same story that we've talked about for years. I mean, the offense is driven by the defenseman. Dumba looks like he's going to have an outstanding season as long as he can play healthy. He was on the way to that last season when he was injured December 15th. He's just hammering the puck. I was talking to Brad Hunt. I'm working on a story. I don't know if I'm smart enough to write the story, actually. Might need to hire a physicist, maybe Philip. So I'm doing the story that I was talking to Brad Hunt about, and I'm going to sit down with Dumba about as well, is just on how it's humanly possible from a physics point of view, that guys as small as Brett Hunt and Matt Dumba could shoot the puck as the way they do. And Brett Hunt was absolutely fascinating about where he gets his power from, and he was talking about how his hand grip is absolutely weak, but it's all comes from lower body and the way that he kind of opens up for these shots. But what he was saying is that he just gets the puck and hammers it. Where Dumba's got a gazillion different types of shots in his arsenal. He's got so many different wrist shots, so many different snap shots. Obviously, he can hammer the puck on one-timers or just take a traditional slap shot. He could lift his head, pick a spot, and we're seeing that every night. And we're starting to see the penalty kills of other teams look at him as the lone weapon.
And that's what I'd do.
And that is something that hopefully, if you're the Wild, will open up avenues for other players to be successful on the unit that Matt Dumba is on a given night, whether it's the first or second unit forwards that he starts out with. And you see that. I mean, with Winnipeg, with Washington, teams try to really overcompensate to shut down guys like Laine and Ovechkin. And all of a sudden it creates open looks for other players. And so what the Wild power play really needs to start doing is recognizing that he is getting fronted every time he gets the puck. And what makes Matt so special and so dangerous on a power play is that he's got such great footwork that it doesn't matter if he's being fronted. He could slide left, slide right, kind of get lost because he's so mobile. And so far so good with Matt Dumba. You're right. I mean, he's absolutely been a bright spot to start the season.
So Brian from Tin Shed said he's going to draw on our next show here is October 21st, 7 p.m. And Brian is going to draw for Wild tickets. He's going to give them away that night. So fill out the little sheet up here, put your name in. You have a chance to win. Also, we're open for live questions anytime somebody wants to come up. And either the first or the best live question gets this nice little Joe Mauer hat. I don't know if there are any baseball fans here, but Joe's kind of a hockey guy, so it all works out. But remember, October 21st, 7 o'clock here, we will draw for free Wild tickets that Brian from Tin Shed is giving away. Also want to thank Twill in the Edina Galleria. You can find their stuff on Instagram. I want to make sure you have the right handle, Twill Edina. Twill Edina is their handle on Instagram. And Brandon, instead of running the usual ad, I'm just going to tell people that this Friday, October 11th, they're having at the Galleria, they're having their fall Brax, that's BRAX, trunk show, and you get 20% off when you purchase 2 or more pairs of Brax. I own, I think, 4 pairs of those. I wish I had waited for the sale, but it's a brand made in Germany, and the stuff. I just had a 6-day trip to New York, covered like 5 games, went out to dinner with my wife. I think everything I wore was stuff I bought. And I don't have a trade deal with Twill. I spend my own money there. Everything I wore was Twill because it just wears well. You can get off an airplane, you can walk around town, and it isn't wrinkled. It looks nice. You're comfortable the whole time. I highly recommend it. Also, Trask shoes, Trask. I've got 2 pairs of those, including a pair of boots that I wore all week in New York. It's just stuff that'll last forever. So I highly recommend that. Twill in the Edina Galleria. Tell Scott Dayton or any of his staff that Talk North sent you, and they'll be friendly either way, but they'll probably be even friendlier if they know that you know us. So check them out. So 0-2. In some sports, that feels like a death sentence. How big a deal is it mathematically in the NHL?
Well, St. Louis won the Cup last year, and I think they started 0-2.
I thought so.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nobody can accuse me of being negative.
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to. I believe. Do you? So
I think we need that as a soundbite.
It's not a death sentence, but this isn't football. They haven't played 1/8 of their season. See, I'm able to do math sometimes, and so the big deal now is taking advantage of this week. They've only, it's funny because they've had 4 days off, but only 2 practices. But you're going on. You have Winnipeg that just opened up with a 4-game road trip. They're in Pittsburgh tonight. Right now, I think the game is. I think they're actually up 3-1, which is amazing considering that they are really demolished on their back end. Obviously, this offseason they traded Tyler Myers. They traded Jacob Trouba. Dustin Byfuglien is right now AWOL. and all of a sudden you open up the season and you suffer a couple big-time injuries, most notably to Josh Morrissey, who got hurt in the final exhibition game against Minnesota. So they're up 3-1, but they're coming back from a home opener, long road trip. They're gonna, they're obviously gonna be excited for the home opener, but the old adage of the first game after a long road trip is always the hardest. I mean, they could very easily come out flat against Minnesota on Thursday night, and they have a blue line that is extremely, extremely thin right now. So if you're the Wild, you have to take advantage of that. You have to. Bruce says all the time that you have to go at them. You can't stick your toe in there, and that's what the Wild haven't done in both the first two road games. Is first 5 minutes in Nashville, they take 2 penalties. The shots are 9-0 by the end of the first 7 or 8 minutes of the period. Dubnyk had to be unbelievable to keep them in the game. You go to Colorado, and it's 2-0 within 5:52 or 5:57 of the first period, and you have to battle back that game. So they've got to be smart about this and go in there and just attack Winnipeg, and we'll see if they can get it done.
So the Miami Dolphins, they play in your home state. I know people here might not know, but you used to work in Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, what about the Dolphins?
They're tanking.
Oh, okay.
Do NHL teams ever tank? Would they tank? Is it a sport in which tanking is beneficial?
No, I mean, you cannot tank. I mean, just look at who got the top picks in the draft this past season. Rangers, New Jersey, Chicago. The rules do not lend itself to the league has changed the rules to make sure that teams can't tank. So you can't sit there and finish 29th, 30th, 31st and be assured of absolutely anything. So you got to play it out. And the Wild are I mean, there's just no such thing as tanking. They're not going to tank. And you can't tank when you have Ryan Suter and Zach.
No, I'm not even saying. I'm not saying the Wild. I just wanted to ask philosophly if anybody.
But it is funny. I mean, you and I have been discussing this for 5 years. I remember sitting in the XLNG press box years ago. Who was the number 1 overall pick that we kept on talking about that they should take? Oh, McDavid.
Yeah.
We were right. They should have tanked back then.
Is the Wild going to upgrade the game ops?
Are the Wild?
Are we going to see something? Are the Wild?
Yeah. That's what they say. I'm going to do a story on that this week. The Wild say that they're going to try to do some stuff here, tweak some stuff here to infuse some more energy into the building. We'll see what they do. I honestly do not know, and even if I did, I wouldn't reveal that to I don't want to break any surprises for the fans. But clearly, they've got to do something to add some energy to that building, and this is just beyond. I know that the cynics out there are like, well, it's up to the players to do that. No, the Wild. Sitting at XL Energy Center is unlike any other experience in the NHL, and I don't mean that in a positive. I mean, it's just like I was just talking to Mary here about who just went to Nashville and what it's like to go into that arena. It's a totally different. If you are a Wild fan that have never been at a road game or in Nashville, it's like you're probably just overwhelmed by the stuff that they do. Mary said it's very hard to be a visiting fan and being down in that building when they are up because there's just so much energy. And same thing in a lot of other arenas. So they're trying to do that. They've got to. I think it's grown stale. Obviously, Minnesota, you can't do stuff that's going to be like Vegas or Nashville. But you're not going to have. You're not going to have Keith Urban singing between periods.
You're going to trampled by turtles.
Yeah, you should.
Did Twins a lot of good.
Yeah. How was the national anthem? I didn't see it.
It was good.
Yeah.
They're talented guys. And they handle it well. And I like it when groups instead of the person trying to do the vocal gymnastics. Which we see so often in national anthem. I like when people kind of sing it straight, and they did. They sounded good.
Yeah. I mean, those are those guys.
Right.
They're not going to all of a sudden try to rock it out. They're going to be respectful to the situation also. So,
although I would take Jimi Hendrix coming back from the dead and playing national anthem on his Stratocaster. I'd take that.
Now Nashville's added a pedal pub or whatever you call those things.
Nashville added a pedal pub in the arena.
Oh, on the ice.
God.
Yeah, that was actually kind of funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It'd
be funny if the pedal pub was like a Zamboni. While you gotta kill two birds with one stone. You have everybody getting drunk, and they are resurfacing the ice.
I'm sure they would resurface it perfectly under the circumstances. The shame about the X is it's a great building. I mean, we talk about the game ops not being up to snuff, but in terms of I've been to a certain number of hockey arenas. It seems to me the XL Energy Center's won top 5, top 10 in the league?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it, I'm sure, is money too. I mean, you go to Colorado the other day. It's just absolutely entertaining. The beginning of the game, with the light show and what they do on the ice and the scoreboard and everything, the music. And so it just needs to be, changed, and I think they're trying to do that. So the Wild are absolutely trying to spice things up this year. That's why they're also, fiddling with their broadcasts as well. I did a podcast that came out today with Ryan Carter, and he's one of the rotating color analysts that they kind of do, like FSN does with the Twins as well, where they have 3 or 4 people. They're going to do that with the Wild this year as well. Wes Walls, I was talking to Lou Nanny in the car. We already picked our restaurants for the Florida trip that he's doing. Mike Greenlay will be one of them as well. And then doing play-by-play, filling in for Bob Kurtz this year at different times will be Anthony LaPanta, Paul Allen, Kevin Fallness, Joe O'Donnell, who's been with the Wild organization for years, working in Houston, then Iowa as their minor league play-by-play guy as well. Also the St. Cloud announcer as well.
We will take live questions. We'll also do some Twitter questions here. Do want to thank Fixology Repairs, locations Mall of America, which is 3rd floor by Nordstrom's, downtown Minneapolis in the Skyway, downtown St. Paul in the Skyway, right by the Wild offices and the XL Energy Center, and one in Toledo if you're ever in that neighborhood too, fixologyrepair.com.
Hi, this is John with Fixology Repair. For the better part of a decade, we've been privileged to serve you for all of your jewelry, watch, and smartphone repair needs at the Mall of America. Since Minnesotans largely hate going to the mall, we expanded 2 years ago to reach you in the Minneapolis Skyway. And now this year, we're pleased to announce we have a new location at Wells Fargo Place in the St. Paul Skyway. All 3 shops are equipped to help with your watch and cell phone repair needs on site, while all jewelry, computer, and game consoles will be completed at the Mall of America store. Please bring us your repair challenges, and don't forget to mention the Talk North podcast for a 10% discount on all of our services.
Remember when I accidentally bought the 2 watches on Instagram?
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, I forgot that I even had them until the other day. Russo Slacks tweeted me a picture of me wearing both watches. And I'm like, I wonder where those things are. I never once wore them, ever. So if anybody wants a couple watches, they're really nice.
And of course, he tries to embarrass me by showing a photo of my band playing, and he always has you in the background wearing a red shirt, like doing flamenco, the flamenco dance or something.
Roman Yossi, goal. It's on my fantasy team.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry, Mary.
All right, Mary, fire away.
Okay. Yeah, just wondering your thoughts on Parisi's comments regarding the lines, changing the lines up so quick, or the chemistry, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Zach, Zach is right in the trenches, and he knows his team more than anybody. He's obviously frustrated, I'm sure, with them not scoring yet again, and probably being a little fearful of what that means for the year to come. And so. On these comments, I mean, the only thing I'll say is like, look, I mean, Zach has every right to feel the way he has, and he knows much more than me. He knows systems much more than me. But I'll just say statistically, last year the Wild generated near the top of the league in quality of chances created, and still finished from December 15th on with the fewest goals. So what that tells me is that this isn't a total system thing. This is a team that just cannot finish. And, Zach obviously can't control the ability of his teammates and him to, he could only control if he could score. He can't control his teammates. So he's looking at this as like, well, obviously I can't magically turn that guy into McDavid and Ovechkin and whoever. So he's saying we got to figure out other ways to generate more chances. In games 1 and 2, the Wild had plenty of scoring chances. So again, I get what Zach is saying. But I also genuinely think that Zucker had a breakaway and then had a point-blank chance at Rene. in Colorado, Koivu in the last minute or minute and a half, incredible look that Grubauer made an outstanding save. Donato was robbed once and stopped twice on good looks. So Kevin Fiala gets a perfect one-timer to elevate that puck and just mishits it. So to me, while Zach has his opinions, to me those are plenty of chances for them to score, and they just don't. And then the other thing that I will say is, and this is probably a point of contention with a lot of people that read me and my beliefs here, but I am tired of the Wild. All they do is dump the puck. They are one of the slowest NHL teams out there. They cannot get through the neutral zone against teams like Colorado at times. And so sometimes if you want them to pull Kevin Fiala every shift and turn the puck over at the offensive blue line, or do what Matt Dumba was doing in Nashville and turn the puck over at the offensive blue line every time by putting it in, they could do it. But this team doesn't have the ability a lot of times to dump the puck. They're just not fast enough. Look in the late in the third period. Mikko Koivu was on an odd man rush the other day, and in Colorado, and all of a sudden Colorado converges on him. He's basically past the defense, but all of a sudden he looks to his right, and there's nobody even with him. He's slow rolling as it is, and so what does he do? Basically at the blue line, dumps the puck. That is this team. And so sometimes you just have to play to what you are. This team does not have the ability to be McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog. They just don't. And so a lot of times, if you're going to just constantly, one reason why they did not have the puck a lot in Nashville for a lot of that game was because they kept on trying to skate through the neutral zone and kept getting lured into it. And the problem with that game is then when they started dumping the puck, this is what Nashville does. They goad you into dumping the puck to Rene, who's one of the best puck-handling goalies in the NHL. And so they're so good in the neutral zone that they stop you from skating through it, and then if you dump it to the wrong area, you're most likely not getting it as well. And the other thing that Nashville does perfectly is they get away with obstruction. So you dump that puck, and usually you're getting illegally but legally obstructed as you're going in. They do just enough to slow you down to the point that Rene can play it. And so it's a very frustrating game. So the Wild started off with two frustrating teams, and again, Winnipeg in a couple days, that's one where they are so thin on the back end. Part of the game plan might very well be to smartly dump the puck a couple times early, pound those defensemen, and try to wear them out by the time that the game gets a little older, where all of a sudden you could create a lot of looks for yourself. So that's just kind of my opinion. Again, I totally get what Zach's saying. I look at this team as having enough chances to score, and they still just never do. So that to me is more on the personnel and not so much. That's not so much on the system. Hey,
hi. How are you?
I like your shirt.
Hi.
Thank you.
Are you a big Star Wars fan?
Well, yes and no.
You care to elaborate?
So my question is when is Alex Stalock gonna start a game?
I remember you. Didn't you come to the state fair and ask that question?
Yes.
Yep. Isn't your friend at school Alex Stalock's cousin or nephew?
Nephew?
Yes, I remember this. Now here's the thing. I want to tell you Thursday that Alex Stalock is playing in Winnipeg.
Time out, Michael.
Yep.
Don't make her cry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to tell you that because that was the original plan, but that was the original plan before they started 0-2 and that Dubnyk was playing quite well. And just the fact that they don't have a win yet to go into a visiting Central Division arena where things are tense, it just wouldn't shock me if Bruce changes his mind and starts Doobie. But originally, Alex was supposed to start Thursday. So there's a chance that Alex will play in 2 days in Winnipeg, and you'll get to watch your friend's uncle on TV. But I can't promise that anymore.
Just so you know, I won't cry.
Okay.
I know. I'm more worried about him crying, actually.
Jim's
Thank you.
crier.
I am. Big crier. Thank you, dear. Appreciate it.
Good question.
Good question. Best question we've had. Oh, except for Mary's.
We got to meet Alex Stalock's nephew. Apparently, has a good friend here trying to get Alex in the net. I asked Alex about that, actually. That's really funny, actually. I told Alex about what happened, and Alex said that other people had already told him. So your daughter is becoming famous with Stalock, so he has a lot of fans. So, okay. Here you go. Next.
Okay. You mentioned earlier. I think we ended up changing subjects. You said you were kind of disappointed in some of the younger players. Who were you thinking about specifically?
I've expected a lot more from Cunnin. I know he's getting chances, but man, he's just not skating great. He's taken a couple big dumps in practice, and I'm telling you, he had trouble getting up yesterday. So you just hope that knee's not hurting him again. In fact, Zuccarello bear hugged him at center ice because Zuccarello was one that dumped him behind the net, and he had real trouble getting up. And Zuccarello, but then when Zuccarello was like bear hugging him, Cunnin had a big laugh and smile. So hopefully he's just trying to. But he's not. You just expect him to. None of them have a point. Fiala, I thought he played really well in Nashville. Not so well in Colorado. Big time turnover that led to the second goal. And big-time turnover that led to a shorthanded breakaway by Matt Calvert. That needs to stop. Donato, I have not been, he had a couple really good looks against Colorado, but he's just, he's had a disappointing training camp, and it's led into a disappointing start to the season. Greenway, I think, needs to be so much more assertive, not getting chances. He just needs to play a big man's game. And Eriksson Ek's been the best of the five. He's probably been their best center right now. Ice time wise, I will say, like when everybody complains about the kids aren't getting the ice time, all this stuff, you got to look at the ice times. They are. Just because they're what we're listing as the third or fourth lines doesn't mean that really is what they're getting. They are getting the quality ice time right now, and they're just not doing anything with it. But Eriksson Ek of the five has definitely been the best of the five.
And how do you judge Zucker's game so far?
I think he's been really good. A lot of chances. You love him to score on one of those goals in one of those shots in Nashville. He gets the awesome breakaway on a fantastic play by Fiala and pass and for the home run pass, and he just wasn't able to score. And then the point blank, and that obviously that would have been a huge goal. Would have made it 3-3 midway through the third period. Instead, Nashville comes up about a couple minutes later and makes it 4-2, and that was the ball game there. Fiala again, really good in Nashville. He forechecks the heck of the puck and stuff. I hate to always go back to the game breaker line by Paul Fenton, but this was my problem with Paul, and I think it was it was an experienced GM doing this, is that he created this expectation amongst all of us that this guy was going to be a game breaker, to the point that even his teammates or coaches even make flippant comments about him being a game breaker when he doesn't score on plays like that. And so, the expectation was that Fiala was going to be able to, one time, that's why he's on the ice in that situation. I hand Bruce credit for putting him in that situation, and he just wasn't able to get it done.
Do us a favor, follow us on Twitter at Talk North Pod. I'm sure you already follow Michael. Go ahead and follow the network at Talk North Pod. You'll see some other shows you might be interested in. You also have live show updates, and we don't put a ton of stuff on that feed, so it won't clog up your timeline. Talk North Pod on Twitter. Yes, Vicki, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Sort of. Why is Dubnyk not getting a lot of attention? Is it because the team is doing poorly?
Yeah, that's definitely why. I mean, it's hard to sit there and say that Doobie's playing great when the team has no wins. I mean, you're asking for trouble if you're writing that story at this point, right? And the other thing, it's not like that he's given up only one goal a game. I mean, he gave up what was it? It was 3 in Colorado and 4 in Nashville. Yeah. And frankly, even though Eric Stahl screwed up on the last 2 goals that he was on the ice for, that thing's overlooked if Doobie makes the save on the original shot before Arvidsson scored. He kicked that rebound out to Arvidsson, and that was the killer goal in that game. So, Doobie's the least of their problems right now. But it's kind of like last year. I mean, Doobie got off to a great start last year, too, and you're just like, God, man, you just know that eventually he's going to go through his dry spell, and you're sort of wasting his performances now. And that was the sad part of the Nashville game. I mean, he made some unbelievable saves in that game, both in the first period and the third period. and they just, they wasted the effort.
Well, I don't think he started out well.
Oh, you don't think so?
I don't.
I think he's been really good.
He's kind of been all over the place.
I don't know if I agree. I think he's gotten off to a really good start. To me, in Colorado, none of those goals are his fault. Ranton in between the slot on a McKinnon interference. that should have been a penalty. Ranton scoring that against everybody. He did his job on the wraparound on Bellemare. Bellemare unfortunately lost the puck and was able to elevate it. And I guarantee if you ask Bellemare, the fact that puck got up probably surprised him more than anybody. And nobody's stopping the Landeskog one. So he made some unbelievable saves to keep them in that game. So I think he was great in Colorado. I thought he made some unbelievable saves in Nashville. Yeah.
The one that broke Mary's heart. Yep.
But again, the fourth goal was the killer goal that night.
Well, I guess relatively speaking.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, once Arvidsson has that puck in the slot, he's scoring. The guy's a 30-goal scorer. He's an awesome shooter. To me, I don't know. I will say, I know that a lot of people that read me and listen to me always think that I'm a Doobie apologist, but I always have. But if you remember on Twitter, I criticized him on that. I think I called it a trampoline rebound. But still, to me, I always look at where the mistake happened. And I'm like Eric Staal's at center ice in a 1-goal deficit with 12 minutes left in the game. He's a veteran. That is his fault. It's not Doobie's. Doobie served up the rebound to the worst possible spot, to the worst possible player on the ice. But why was that a bad spot for the bad player? Because he was wide open alone, because the guy that should have had him was 15, 20 feet out of the zone.
He's getting no help.
Yeah.
I'll give him that for sure.
Same thing on the Granny Tippin goal. You're giving Yossi, again, you can't score from the boards. So why is Eric Staal chasing the puck carrier when that's not his job? His job is to front Yossi. And so Roman Yossi, who just scored right there, stepping into a puck from the top of the left circle with traffic in front, nobody around Granny, that's going to most likely be a goal. It's probably going to be stopped, but Granny got a stick on it, The third goal is a weird goal, too. I did feel like the third goal, he was a little too casual on his first save. He never really got set. But again, it's just I know it's the type of flukes that only seem to happen to Doobie, but it's like Suter knocks down Austin Watson, and then the shot comes in, and Watson on the ice gets his stick on it. It's just it's just, that's bad puck luck right there. So I don't think he's been bad. Training in the preseason, I don't think he was wonderful. But in the first 2 games, I don't think you could fault him. So,
it starts over on Saturday, as far as I'm concerned.
What's that?
The season starts over again on Saturday, as far as I'm concerned.
With the home game? Yeah. Especially, you start 6 out of 7 on the road. You better win that game. You're going to have Malkin and no Bukestad in here.
Yeah.
You should probably win that game.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Okay.
Thank you, Vicky. Appreciate it.
No questions from Philip? Wow. I think I've offended him.
Taking a break. He needs to recharge his batteries.
Ever since that superstar Mikhail Granlund was traded, he's forgotten about me.
So speaking of Jason Zucker, our State Farm agent, Tony Hoagland, he handles my insurance, handles Michael's. You heard me talk about that before. He is now, if you just call him and have a conversation about what they can do for you or what their price points might be for their services, they also provide financial services. They'll donate $16 to, they may make sure I get the name right, to Jason Zucker's Give 16 campaign, and National State Farm will match it, so $32 will go to a very good cause. Tony Hoagland, you can reach him at 763-421-4900. You can also find him just if you Google Tony Hoagland, Hoaglund. You can find him that way.
Hi, Talk North listeners. I wanted to let you all know about State Farm's new program called Quotes for Good. We partner with local nonprofits to raise money for great causes. For the Russo-Souhan Show, I'll be donating $16 to the Jason and Carly Zucker Give 16 campaign that benefits the University of Minnesota Masonic Children's Hospital. When you call in, be sure to mention the show so that we can track the donations. You can reach us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at champlininsurance.com.
Twitter question. Jeff McGrath, this is interesting one. Can each of you talk about the delicate balance between being an insider for the teams and not making the teams mad? Must be a delicate balance. Fenton showed how mad and paranoid teams can get. Any stories to share?
I mean, I think I've written everything I'm willing to write about that. But I mean, you know, part of the job is you're going to always tick somebody off, and that's hard to do at times, to show your face the next morning. I think that's just the most important thing, is that, you know, I ask the players to be accountable. So if I'm going to sit there and critique them or point out stuff that I know is going to ruffle some feathers, I better show up the next day. You know, that's the beat writer way. You know, we call columnists one-hit wonders, or is that what we call you guys?
I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you call us?
Yeah. I have a couple nicknames for you.
As a beat writer.
Oh, hit and runners. That's what I call you.
Well, as a beat writer, I would do what you did. I would be there the next morning every day.
You've written more than one good column. I apologize for that.
Let's not go that far. Yeah. But as a columnist, I just can't always be there the day after I write up a team.
Exactly.
I cover 8 different teams. I'm different places every day. I know I make sure early on in my relationships with teams, I tell the PR guy, hey, you know, got all my information. Yeah. Somebody was talking to me, have them call me. David Kahn used to call me like every day.
Yeah. You know what's funny about Souhan? So obviously I don't work at the Star Tribune anymore, but because he and I do the podcast together, we're sort of just still kind of aligned. So when he writes a column that ticks off somebody with the Wild, whether it's a player or the owner or the GM or whatever, I still get the brunt of the, like, well, your buddy Souhan. I'm like, I have nothing to do with that anymore. So, but then they point out that, you know, that a lot of the things he might write might be stuff you hear me say on the podcast. So
it's possible.
So it's kind of still my fault. I guess
it's possible.
So
I also remember, you know, like when I covered the Twins. And when I cover the Vikings, I can't tell you how many times, either as a beat writer or as a columnist, that a PR guy or another player or somebody would say, oh, this guy's really mad at you, right? And then I swear to God, I'd show up, I'd stand within 10 feet of them, and they wouldn't say a word to me. Now, and here's the thing, the days if I couldn't show up or I couldn't be there, then they went around bad-mouthing me to everybody. But when I went and stood in front of their locker, nobody ever said a word.
Yeah. That was, I mean, the one I will say is Setaguchi. You know, he was scratched before the San Jose game, and I wrote the reason why he was scratched. He was ticked. He wanted me to retract it. We got to Chicago the next day for, I think, a practice. I can't remember exactly the scenario, but home against San Jose, remember, it was a first or second game playing in San Jose since being traded here. All of a sudden, Yo scratches him for the game in a disciplinary move. I wrote the reason. Next day, he wanted me to retract it when we got to Chicago. I told him I refused to retract it because it was told to me from an outstanding source. And I told him, I said, your biggest concern should be who told me this, because he's the person you really got to worry about, you know? And so to me, it was over. But then I see him that night just coincidentally on the street by Rush Street in Chicago, and he wants me again to retract it. I tell him I'm not retracting it. You know, it was told to me on, you know, there are 2 types of off the record, right? Off the record, like
it's a secret, and I'll kill you if you say anything.
Do not write it. Yeah. You know, I mean, one of them is the Harding thing with the foot. Until I'm given permission, that has to stay here. Same thing. Until I feel like I could write with 100%. That I could write where Zach Parise had a potential of being traded to this summer. I can't. You know, I can't. I mean, this one's a kind of a touchy, delicate one, but to me, it's been told to me like it is off the record, the team, and until I feel comfortable that I have essentially permission to write it, that's off the record. But this one was like, yeah, you could write it. This is why he was scratched, but just don't say it came from me. That are 2 different types of off the record. So anyway, sorry to make you stand there on a knee that needs to be replaced. I apologize. It just dawned on me that. Do you want to ask your question?
And then we'll get
continue?
back to this.
All right.
I got a question from Philip.
All right, Philip.
Yeah, he heard us. He goes, I know this is unlikely.
All right, let's go back to my story then. No,
yeah,
I'm just
okay. I know this is unlikely. Oh, shit.
The Face ID. How annoying is the Face ID?
It's unlikely to actually happen, but do you think it would be beneficial for Eric Stahl's game to take a page out of baseball's playbook and schedule rest games for Stahl? His best stretches last year seemed to be after breaks.
There might have to come a point with that, especially with what he's dealing with now health-wise. There might, but you might have to do it over Stahl's dead body. And that's the one thing I love about him. It might piss off fans, but the guy is a gamer. He just
What's he
is.
dealing with health-wise?
I can't say. That one, it's the same thing. It's sort of like he's going to play through it, so why tell it? That's sort of not to say I'm still abiding by Paul Fenton's rule, but to me, he is dealing with something that can be targeted, so I'm not going to do that to him.
Fair enough.
If it's ever told to me that I could write it, I'll write it. It's nothing like he's not playing on a torn ACL or anything. I promise you that. But he's just dealing with something that could be a thing that is an issue this season. So what was the question?
If it'd be a good idea to give him rest.
Maybe it can be. So Setoguchi. So I don't write it.
Thanks,
Fast forward a month, he and I are not getting along. Only time I'm really talking to him is in scrums, and that would have been ugly. Vicky almost took a little tumble. So we get to Columbus, and I'm trying to like also decide what I should tell and can't tell. But I'll just say we're in Dallas. And I break a story that night after the game. The team comes home for practice between that and the Super Bowl, and then they're continuing on to Columbus. And so I decided to go to Columbus, hang out with my buddy Jeff Vermer, the play-by-play guy, and watch the Super Bowl with him, and then meet the team there. And so they had one practice at home between the Dallas game and the Columbus game. The story that I broke it from Dallas was that Nate Prosser was going to sign a 2-year extension. On the day of practice, Kent Youngblood for the Star Tribune is covering for me. Nate Prosser has his press conference his press scrum in the hall in the locker room after he did that morning sign his extension. And apparently behind the scenes, Setoguchi was like ripping me. Kind of like, sources say, like basically blah, blah, blah. And so that night, I get this call from Youngblood, hey, what's with you and Setoguchi? He was just trashing in the locker room today. And I'm like, don't worry about it or whatever. And so that night, I wind up running into him on the streets of Columbus. And I say something to him. It gets pretty heated. It started with, hey, he actually said something to me. I said something back to him. It got heated. Heatley got in the middle of it. Heatley texted me that night and basically is like, hey, let's deal with this in the morning. Devin and you will talk it out and Devin will apologize and all this stuff. Devin was, Heatley was always kind of Devin's like, sort of like mentor and role model type figure. And anyway, that next morning, like Jim said, I'm standing. There was somebody with the Wild making their NHL debut that night. I can't remember who. I was at his stall. It happened to be like a stall or two down from Seto. He doesn't say anything to me after I interview him. I was like kind of loitering by his locker, expecting, all right, we're gonna talk, and it never happened. So fast forward now a month, we're in Arizona. It's an off day, and then they're going to a team bonding bocce ball game. And they're walking out of the locker room, and Seto's first, followed by Heatley, and I'm like, hey, Seto. And he kind of walks by me and ignores me, and Heatley kind of gives me this confused look. And again, this is like 2.5, 3 months after the Chicago incident. And I get this call about an hour later. I'm sitting in the Renaissance writing my off-day story. Call comes, and it's Danny Heatley. I'm like, hello. He goes, Roos. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, hey, hang on for Seto. And anyway, Seto gets on the phone and just apologizes to me and says, look, I've been immature. I apologize to him, and everything's cool, all right? And the next morning at the morning skate, I went up to Heater, and I'm like, hey, what all happened there? He goes, well, I saw him kind of like snub you, and I'm like, I said to Seto on the bus, like, well, hey, what was that about? I'm like, didn't you hash this out with Russo? And Heatley is like, and Seto's like, no, I never dealt with it. And Heatley's like, look, you can't win this battle. You could hate him or not respect him or everything you want, but he's got the power of the pen. He's going to win the battle. And so again, as a leader, I know a lot of people don't look at Heatley that way, but as a leader, he convinced Seto, like, let's just chill this out. And so from that point on, I'm sure Soto still hated my guts, but I mean, we absolutely got along. We had a good relationship. We talked, blah, 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 blah. So those are the type of, stories that just jumped out to my mind. It's a hard job sometimes when you ruffle feathers. These are human beings. They don't like to be ripped. That's why I just love guys like Matt Zuccarello. You go up to him and it's like, I suck. And sometimes that's just a cool thing, a refreshing thing to hear, from a guy that I told the story on the podcast the other day, or maybe on my comment section of my story today. But the other night in Denver, the way it works with the Wild, I don't know if it's like this with the other teams in town, is that like with 5 minutes left in a game, the PR person, Megan or Aaron Sickman, will come through and say, hey, who do you want after the give? And all of us as beat writers give, I'd like this guy. It doesn't mean that you're beholden to that. If all of a sudden you do want somebody else, they'll get them for you. But what they do is, so these guys, because especially on the road, they have to be on the bus within a half hour after the game, is they'll put a bunch of numbers on the board. And those guys are the ones that stick around the locker room to talk to the media. And we didn't ask for Zuccarello that night. I did it purposely because to me, he was accountable after the game in Nashville. It's like, let's give him the night off. And but he is just sitting in his stall waiting for us, because he was not happy with his game. And I just thought that was amazing. Where, on the other hand, probably something I shouldn't say, but where I go up to the captain of the team to talk to him, and he exaggeratedly looks at the board, doesn't see his number, and doesn't want to talk to me, and I was not having it. And I asked him, we had a 1 minute conversation. It was pretty tense.
I'll follow up on that real quick just to answer Jeff's question. You were talking about all the different kinds of off the record and how this stuff can work. Some of the best relationships I had with people, especially Vikings and Twins, the teams I covered as a beat writer, were with people who I had a conflict with. The conflict led to you talking out exactly why you're going about your job the way you do, and them getting it, and then there's a real understanding there. Most athletes grow up getting their butts kissed by everybody around them. You're great. You're going to make it. Don't believe the doubters. And they get the big leagues, and they're not good enough, or they aren't responsible enough, or they don't play well enough, and somebody rips them, and they have no idea how to handle it. So I'll just take you through the Sano thing a couple of years ago. I walk in the Twins clubhouse. Sano was in a terrible slump. And a former player comes up to me and says, he's 30 pounds overweight. He's not working out. It looks like he's partying too much. He looks terrible. The organization is really worried about him just ruining his career. So I take that, and I go ask somebody else in the organization who I trust, and he said, all true. I can take it to the manager. The manager says, I can't talk about it. And this is Paul Molitor, who was very good to me, but he said, I hope you don't write that. I just can't. That wouldn't be great for us to have that out there right now. He didn't deny it. He said, hey, I'm the manager. I can't encourage you to write that. Went to one other person in the organization. The guy said, it's true. I also wish you wouldn't write it, but it's true. So I wrote it, because that's my job. And, I would say, I'm going to be a jerk here, Michael. 95% of the people in our business in this market just want to get in there, get one quote, and get out and not make anybody mad. But that's not the job. We were in New York on Sunday. I asked Kirk Cousins a question, and he kind of started answering it in an interesting way. Judd asked a follow-up question, and we were getting someplace. We were leading him down a road where he might actually tell us something of value, and a TV person jumped in and said, but you guys won the game and everything's great. Well, that's not our job. Yeah. It's not our job to protect the players from saying something meaningful. It's our job to try to actually get them to say something meaningful once in a while. So that's the game we play.
No, it's tough.
And I'd rather go down the road where they get mad at me because I'm trying to do my job than just be one of these people who just wants to be buddies with them. Because you know what? They don't really respect you if that's all you're doing is kissing up to them. They got plenty of people in their life to do that.
It is. It's hard because you deal with these guys on an everyday basis. You have immense respect for pretty much everybody on this team.
Yeah.
There's certain guys on the team. I think pretty much everybody in this market knows, how much respect I have for guys like Parisi and Miko and Doobie and all these guys. But the job still is to write fairly. Eric Stahl. If you've listened to this podcast for the now 4 years that he's been on this team, could it be any more obvious how much I respect this guy? You think I'm enjoying sitting there and writing him the way that I've been writing about him since he was extended? You still got to do your job. It's not easy. And that's why I sometimes get I do have a quick trigger. If you're going to call me a homer on Twitter, I'll lose my freaking mind. I mean, I watched a reporter in this town get to the ballpark yesterday and tweet out, "Let's go Min Twins." I mean, come on. Like that's a homer.
Right, it's basically unethical. You're basically pandering to that organization, hoping they'll do it. And here's the amazing thing is those people never get ahead because they never are willing to push anybody to get any information. So they end up just being fans.
But, I mean, that's and I also have a quick trigger with that. Like, it drives me crazy because I also know behind the scenes the crap that I deal with on an everyday basis that no fans understand. I mean, part of this job is every day.
Somebody's mad at you every day.
It's especially when you're covering a team that's 0-2, already. And that's why so far I respect the heck out of Garrett because so far nothing has happened that has ticked him off, and I'm sure he's not overwhelmingly delighted with the way that I've covered the team since the start of training camp.
Yes, sir.
Sorry to make you stand there forever.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
So, two things. You've said before in the past that there are people in the Minnesota Wild that listen to your podcasts. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of a message for them.
You have to take out some ad space. I'm kidding.
Sorry.
I'm kidding.
If I owned a business, I would.
Yeah.
Definitely would do that. So two things, but I'm going to get my first message of the Wild is, so the last preseason game was Kids Day. Uh-huh. And not all of the starters played in that game.
Yeah.
And they trotted out Victor Rask to sign autographs. And Jared Spurgeon and Ryan Suter did not play that game. I did check the game log. If you want to engage your fans, trot out Ryan Suter or Jared Spurgeon because he was only signing autographs for kids, was not signing autographs for adults. So I was there with my daughter and a friend and his daughter, and I have nothing against Rask. Rask and Niederreiter's over, move on. So there's that for the Minnesota Wild. And so my question for you, you were talking about Eck, and Boudreau brought up that he obliterated the 2-mile bike ride, just came into camp phenomenal shape. How come he's not getting a shot as the number 2 center or with different line mates like Zucker, like Cunnin, like Zuccarello, or Parise? Why not move him up? Why is he always stuck on the 4th line? I thought Boudreau wanted to give the young guys a shot, and we're 2 games into it, and he's moving everybody but Eck.
Yeah. So I really don't have a great answer for that one, and the reason why is Bruce hasn't really given us a great answer, which, by the way, usually what that means is that Bruce doesn't want to tell the real reason because it would be potentially deprecating to that player. So my gut is that, and I don't disagree with it, is that everything that Eck has shown in practice and in his skill set. But you know what I mean? Like that. By the way, that was so. Like we should cut that out. That's beyond. Talk about lack of humility. But I guess
we're
my
going to worry
point
about
is
that now.
That my guess is, and again, I'm putting words in Bruce's mouth, but there could only be one explanation. It's like he feels that Eriksson Ek plays a certain role, and then there are other factors that he probably doesn't want to say. One could be totally guessing that certain wingers don't like playing with Eriksson Ek. That's just a total speculation. But there's always reasons that if it doesn't make sense to the fan, there are usually underlying things, and that is one question that it's like Bruce just hasn't been able to give us a really competent answer for, and it might be because he just doesn't want to explain the reason. So one, to me, is he might just think that Eriksson Ek is his skill set is that he's not a top 6 forward. He also wants Eriksson Ek going against top lines of other teams. And it's kind of like I tweeted the other night that Jared Bednar was intentionally trying at the beginning of the game to get the McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog line out against the 4th line, which is Eriksson Ek, Hartman, and Foligno. And I tweeted out that Boudreau probably doesn't mind that. That's what he wanted. And what happened when the one shift, McKinnon's line got out there against Eric Stahl, Matt Zuccarello, and Ryan Donato, the winning goal happened. So that could also be another thing, is that he wants to try to get those top 6 wingers out there against other lines, but he wants Eriksson Ek in a shutdown role, but he doesn't feel like the wingers that he would put with Eriksson Ek in that shutdown role are guys that he would want going up against the other team's lines. There's always reasons for this. I mean, Boudreau, he's not an idiot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's sometimes like, I do laugh, and maybe I'm sometimes give the coaches a little too much credit, but I do laugh, especially in this market, because it's such an intelligent fan base, and most everybody has played the game and things like that, is that they all, like, when they question the coach, doesn't matter what coach it is, whether it was Todd Richards, Jack Lemire, Bruce Boudreau, or Mike Yeo, it's like they think that they know more than them. But there's so many factors when you're running a team. I mean, you are the CEO of that locker room, and there's always stuff that you're dealing with that the average fan can't relate to. And so that would just be my answer on Eriksson Ek. But at this point, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, he might be your best center. So there might have to be a way to figure out a way to do this. But again, it's always about matchups too. On another side, how about this Carolina team right now? I mean, this is crazy. Like, I thought they were going to take a step back, but you look at them now and you're like, this blue line's unbelievable. Man, they're fast, they're good. A guy named Eric Hollide probably look good on the Minnesota Wild right now.
Why can't the Wild ever get players like that?
I don't know. So.
All right, we'll get a final thought from Michael. We appreciate y'all coming out. A couple of food notes. Once again, thanks to Tin Shed. Reminder, they have NFL Sunday Ticket. They are the home of the Buffalo Bills and the Green Bay Packers fan clubs. They have pull tabs, 3 party rooms, and arcade games, as you see right over there. Great for birthday parties, team parties, corporate events. TinShedMN.com will give you all the details. They also have coupons at the website. So check it out, TinShedMN.com. Also remember, we have a deal with Bite Squad. Talk North is the promo code, gets you the first delivery fee waived. But everybody's probably already used it once. Keep using it. They also go to bitesquad.com. Sometimes they have deals specific to your area, and they do a great job, and they've been great to work with. Do you have a final thought for us, Michael?
I'm just looking at these Detroit highlights, too. I mean, they are skilled and fast. Guys like Mantha and Bertuzzi and Larkin, and man, there are some good teams in this league right now. It'll be interesting to see the way Winnipeg plays right now with their blue line. There just seems to be a lot of underlying things that mean that they could potentially take a step back. I'll be interested to see if Chicago is still kind of, they got an aging blue line. Are they able to give the Wild a run for their money here? Because I think the Wild are going to be a middle-of-the-pack team this season. So that's kind of my final thought.
Well, any
other questions?
We do have a final Twitter question from Russo Slacks. Talk about Wild have sucked. K, thanks.
What?
Talk about Wild. The Wild have sucked. It's a nice open-ended question. You can just talk about that for hours.
That's mean.
It is mean. I think I just wanted to get the final groan out of you. So give me a preview of the next 2 games. Since
they play at Winnipeg. I'm looking at their depth chart tonight. Anthony Bitetto on their first pair. Neil Pionk from Minnesota. Pullman. Right now they're winning in Pittsburgh, but that's a game. Look, the Wild swept the Jets last year, so they're not intimidated playing in that building. The playoffs notwithstanding, of course, but that was when they were without, for part of it, Zach Parise, without Ryan Suter for the whole thing, and when Jared Spurgeon was walking on like one leg. But I think that's an important game for them to just kind of alleviate some of the pressure, right? Get some good vibes coming back here to Minnesota for their home opener. They go back on a 3-game road trip to play, in Ottawa and Toronto and in Montreal, and then home against Montreal. They've got a real tough schedule coming up here. So these next 2 games, home against Pittsburgh and in Winnipeg, they've got to just, things can get tight very easily here. And the one thing I do feel bad, and you feel it in the locker room too, is that it's almost kind of like, even though Paul Fenton's not here anymore, it's almost like last season didn't end, right? They're 0-2. It's the beginning of the season, but it's like there's already this tension around the organization. You walk into the room and they're already, as Mary asked at the beginning, Zach Parise, they're already talking about the line changes and system stuff. The fan base is acting like we're in game 50 and not game 2. And so that's the tough part right now. And so this, for a team that's just starting, this really, and you have a new GM, and you have a couple new players in Zuccarello and Hartman, it just already feels like there's just this pressure here. So just one win in Winnipeg could really alleviate some of that. Then you come home and try to have a big home opener. Because at some point here, we're going to also have to start to write about, potentially if they keep on losing, who could be coming up from Iowa. Jerry Mayhew is somebody I think I talked about. He's off to a great start in Iowa, but maybe that is his level too. I mean, I couldn't believe that he really couldn't get a lot done in training camp. Offensively, Nico Sturm's just starting out his career. I think it would be really too quick to get him up here. But if all of a sudden things get tense here, they might have to do something. So that Iowa team is really interesting too. They're off to a 2-0 start. I talked to Sam Annis yesterday, and he really likes that team. They had a tough injury right off the last drill of practice. Luke Johnson, who was one of the last cuts of training camp, had a great training camp. He suffered a serious injury and is going to miss 2 months. So. Tough go there for Luke Johnson.
All right, maybe we'll talk more about the Iowa team next week. Thank you to Brandon. Thank you to Tin Shed. Thanks to everybody who showed up. Please give Michael a hand.
It's a great soundboard, Brandon.
Cheer for Michael while Michael looks over at the pretty colors on the soundboard and gets distracted.
Pretty little city built on a hillside. Music in the bars and fire in the sky. To the beach and it was covered in ice, and I used to call it home. So much coming out, there's nothing going in. I know that you feel like you're never gonna win. Oh, but the world won't forgive.